a lot of bad news out there, but you like this business of staying home, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an introvert. I'm a homebody. I just like I if I could stay at home all day, I would. So this is great for me. I leave the house like once a day anyway to walk my dogs, and then that's it.
These gays, they're trying to murder me.
What do I think of her?
Yes?
I don't think of her.
Read about that in the New York fucking Post.
Okay, I'm really fucking stressed out right now.
About
the Phillies. Okay, they're 4-2 over the Braves. It's bottom of the sixth.
Not bottom of the sixth.
Nick Castellanos has hit 2 home runs. 2 home runs this game, and just has never looked hotter in his entire life. He's
okay,
like,
wait, what's their name now? I'm interested.
Nick Castellanos. He is. It's just not. It's not good
fair
for me.
I see why you specifically are.
Yeah.
This is very much a type.
Yeah,
for
like
you.
this photo.
I
like,
feel it. Yeah. Oh, that one's that's a good one.
Or this one.
Like respectfully. Yeah.
This one.
Oh.
And he never buttons his shirt. So every time he's on outfield, he just has his little pecs out. I just can't think about it right now. But 4-2, we really, really need this win over the Braves. They creamed us the last time I went and saw the Phillies.
They creamed,
like totally.
Okay.
It was like a wipeout. It was really, really hard to watch. We were leading the whole game, and then we got a bunch of runs up, and then they just fumbled it completely. And the Braves actually went on to win the NL East. So
this is
division.
Crazy. I feel like I'm literally in another timeline where you're telling me about sports, as if I know what you're talking about or understand.
I just need the Phillies to get this, so I can get.
You're literally like go team, and I just hear static noises.
I need to go watch them play the Pirates next week. Okay. I just had to call that out at the top of the show.
Okay.
Fellow Phillies fans, you know my pain.
Well, I have no alliance to any team, so if it has to be one, I'll choose the Phillies also.
No.
Oh, we don't want the support?
No, you are a fan of the Giants. You live in the Bay Area, you sick monster. You disgusting animal.
I've never been to a Giants game. I've been here for 10 years.
That's crazy to me.
I know.
But I forget
is.
What
the only time I ever went was to go to the Gaga concert.
What is the San Diego? I can't remember. Padres. Yeah.
I have been to a bunch of Padre games at Petco Park. Oh, I mean, losing team. Absolutely. San Diego, so good at being
the
mid-tier.
Padres and the Dodgers, but
the Dodgers.
We don't like any of the other California teams. The Giants are the only valid MLB team in California.
I barely even know if that was baseball or not. Now you've confirmed.
Well,
Dodgers.
You guys are listening to Baseball for Free.
Sports podcast.
Baseball for Free, the only podcast recording live at the absolute edge of the MLB stadium.
God, no.
No. Hi, guys. Welcome to Eating for Free. Podcast recording live from the absolute edge of the Jonas Brothers reunion tour.
The edge of the Ring camera that Jonas is using to fuel his entire episode.
My name is resident Turner maniac, Joan Summers. Wait, does Sophie
Turniacs?
What is like Sophie Turner's fan base called?
I don't think they have a name, babe.
The Sophomaniacs.
Well, I'm Turner Truther, Matthew Lawson.
Yeah, Turner Truther.
Ready to I don't really even know. I know, but I don't know. But I'm I'm on her side. Exactly. Yeah. And believe women, right?
Believe women.
That's gonna be the theme of the episode.
You guys, I have something to admit to all of you.
That you're a Sophie Turner stan. Secret Sophie Turner fan account, Sophie Turner Brazil account.
No, she's testing my patience today with this particular episode, having been spotted out with Taylor Swift last night.
Sound the alarm.
Guys.
And that's a pivot.
What did I say last week?
We saw a lot last week.
We're going to take a break.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're like, oh, just a quickie.
We're just gonna do some quickies. We're
We'll
gonna
just do
take it
like
slow
Joan, when
through.
she's like, we're gonna do a 45-minute episode. Has anyone ever in our lives seen a 45-minute episode from this podcast?
We're like, guess
Well, like
what,
actually an
guys?
hour and 45 is what
Guess
I meant.
what? Guess what?
We're in a new
We're
part
gonna take it
1,
slow.
baby.
We're gonna be chill, and
The
then
beginning of another
I
fucking
start looking
series.
at the Joe Bros, and I just think to myself, you know what?
the
I'm not
JBs.
satisfied with this
You weren't
until
satiated.
I systematically, calculatingly, efficiently, and as destructively as possible ruin Joe Jonas's reputation, and Nick Jonas's too, for that matter. I will not be satisfied until these men can't go out in public.
Until they're locked away. House arrest.
This series is going to have everything. Yes, it's going to have the Priyanka Nick Jonas drama. Yes, it's going to have Nick Jonas's gay baiting year. Yes, it's going to have the purity rings. Yes, it's going to have the illicit details of their alleged sexual encounters and antics while they were pretending to be chaste young adults.
Of course.
Yes, it's going to cross over into other elements of child star hell, like the upcoming Miley Cyrus series.
This is the bridge.
This is the
I
prelude.
feel like this is the tether between the two.
This is the
monoliths.
bridge to Terabithia. We're going to be on it, and that shit's going to get washed away, babe.
Oh, yeah. We're going to jump onto that rope swing. Pray for dear life.
All I remember was that was like someone died. Like I actually was just thinking about that. I was like,
a spoiler alert, the
I was
main
like,
girl
do I
died.
remember- I was like, do I remember?
I remember the book
misquoting
fucked
the
people
plot?
up. Like the book fucked people up, and then they made that movie, and I was like, you just traumatized like a million children.
Okay, wait. Bridge.
It's
to
what's his name? Josh
Josh
Hutcherson.
Hutcherson.
When he's
No.
like 7 years old. It's
What
really
happened
freaky.
to Anna Sophia Robb?
I felt like she was the it girl of that.
She
moment.
was like the it girl. She was in the Carrie Diaries, Bridge to Terabithia. Remember Soul Surfer with the shark attack?
with the shark bite out of her like surfboard.
Because of Winn-Dixie, Race to Witch Mountain remake,
No.
Charlie and the Chocolate
Oh my
Factory. Oh my
God.
god! Remember because of Winn-Dixie?
I actually no.
I love
it.
these like late in life things that she's done. Oh, remember Jumper? No, she was in The Act, Down a Dark Hall, The Reaping.
Is that like a Donnie Darko thing?
I have no idea.
Donnie Darko.
She was in Spy School, Drake and Josh for 3 years. Oh, she was in that one show nobody watched, Little Fires Everywhere.
Where's her deep dive? Where's
Sophia
her like
Coppola's
secrets
Little
revealed
Mermaid.
dark past?
Yeah, where's Anna Sophia Robb? Can we get eyes on her?
Where are they
She
now?
should play Sophie Turner in the movie about this divorce. How about that? She could put on a little British accent.
I always forget that she's British.
Oh,
I mean, it's a part of the whole story, but like, in the
Britain
Game of Thrones
actually
of it
does
all,
play a part in this episode today, shockingly enough. And
Britain makes an appearance.
you guys, you come to this podcast to learn. We come to this place to
For
tell
magic?
stories and magic. But I am going to break some, I think, breaking news today. Like, I think I have found some stuff that, you know me, I'm a little nosy. I like to look. I like to snoop. I read things. I'm in those archives. I'm in
Generally
those
turning over
sources.
every rock. I just like to have fun.
I am copy editing Entertainment Tonight articles, and I just stumble on some stuff.
Tripped
you
over,
know.
maybe?
Tripped.
Oh. Velma.
I'm walking in the garden of evil, and I just on a little pebble in my way.
Well,
and I
what was
pick it
that?
up, and underneath are some initials that lead to a lockbox in a forgotten post office. And when I open it inside, there's a clue inside.
It's kind of giving Baldur's Gate, you know?
Yeah. So we're going to start with the Sophie and Joe Jonas divorce for our Jonas Brothers Chastity Crusade series. Welcome to part 1, everybody. I'm trying to do this a little differently. Obviously, we just got done with Ariana Grande, and I didn't want it to just be like another, let's start at the beginning and go all the way through, or even like really give like the timeline and then we get back into it, right? We're trying to mix it up. So today we're actually going to start with the divorce. And I think it's actually a really fabulous place to start because not so fabulous for the people involved, but fabulous for this podcast, because what it's going to allow us to do is it's going to kind of let us see currently, I believe, where the Jonas Brothers' current like cultural standing is.
Yeah,
they
like a
are
little temperature
people,
check, if you will.
Yeah, it's a temp check on what is going on with the Jonas Brothers, and also really like, I think the dregs of the sort of PR machine that was around them, that was influenced by their Christian upbringing and I believe Pentecostal, correct? That might get fact checked later down the line.
Well, I know we talked about their father working for those evangelical schools in the South, you know?
Yeah, that was a long time. God, that was so long ago.
That was back in like
podcast.
2018, 2019. Yeah,
we've been doing this podcast for a long time. So I think it'll be good because we get to kind of do a temp check, and then we also get to kind of see how these like long-standing narratives about the Jonas Brothers really don't work anymore, right? It's a much different culture that we are in now than when they came up. And that seems obvious at first, but like there really was a time when people would consume divorce news. They would consume these sorts of like Angie and Brad Pitt divorcing, like even as recent as that, or even as far back as like Bennifer, breaking up the first time, or Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, that whole drama, or like just anything really, Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise. Like there has always been a segment of the population and of the celebrity gossip machine that has been fascinated with the love lives of the rich and famous. I mean, look at our fucking podcast. But I also think that
fueled by this,
because of, I think, surviving elements of Me Too, however misguided people are about the takeaways from Me Too itself, culturally speaking, I think a lot of that we got into with Ariana Grande, where like we are in a culture where like people are, I think, generally more perceptive to like a man trying to put a spin on his ex-wife to make her look bad, right? Like culturally speaking, I think we are more perceptive, but we are also in a more volatile culture where like cheating is abuse, right? And it can be. We're not saying that it's not, but like cheating is a crime. Cheating is like something that needs like a prison sentence with it culturally. Like, interpersonal conflict is a site of like intense moral warfare.
Well,
amongst
it so
people.
quickly slips into like the gaslighting. It was toxic, both sides are abusive, like and something shady's going on.
Yeah. As like famously a divorce person. Yeah. I'm not going to ever say
mystery around it.
100%. I'm never going to say that like there isn't anything abusive about these sorts of dynamics and relationships. But what we're saying really here is that the culture is like so quick to slip into that and so primed to read into things and read between the lines and look for like a true crime element really of a story.
Oh, the Ring camera of it all.
Ring camera.
It is literally true crime
whose
level.
Sources are whose, like who broke the story? Why is he getting papped outside? Right. We saw all of this with Ariana Grande. I think it's actually interesting that we started with that because it kind of really primed us for this, where, rather than in that case, she's leaving someone she doesn't have any kids with and they weren't together for very long and they have really separate lives. And on the other end is like a Sophie Turner character where it's like married, has like a family going for her, that sort of thing, right? And that's kind of where the conflict's coming in. Here, we're kind of flipping it, right? So I think that there's a lot here to discuss. And I want to start with actually an article that I'm getting from Billboard just because I like to have like a date of like when this started to get talked about. But this was actually on Conan. And this was like right in like the real, like almost like beginning of quarantine. Like I think it was in the first few weeks of quarantine where quarantine wasn't yet scary to celebrities or like people at large. Like we were all kind of like, what's going on? Right. And there was so much else happening in the world. But like end of March, beginning of April, people were like, are we just going to stay home for a few weeks? Right. So this was like right then when things hadn't really shut down.
Everyone's kind of scrambling culturally to like figure out how we're going to cope with this.
it was like a rolling wave where like I remember reporting through that time because I was still at Jezebel when the quarantine happened. Like, and I was blogging through the whole thing and it was like every day it would be like, oh, there's like an award show coming up. Are they going to cancel? Oh, there's like a sporting event. Are they going to do it? Right. just to like remind you guys like how fresh into quarantine this was not like we are like 8 months deep into this shit.
We like really didn't even know
the
what
same
COVID
pair
was
of pajamas.
at all at this point.
So she's on Conan. She's talking to Conan, Sophie is. And she says, quote, "I'm very, very, very safe, very quarantined. I'm kind of loving it," she says to Conan. "I'm an introvert. I'm a homebody. If I could stay at home all day, I would. So this is great for me. I leave the house like once a day anyways to walk my dog, and then that's it." And then when it comes to being stuck at home with Jonas, she says too, quote, "Everything seems to be working out in my favor because Joe is a real social butterfly. So I struggle to kind of lock him down and have him just spend time with me. It's like prison for him, but it's great for me." And in a separate TikTok video, actually, a couple weeks after that, she says in like this challenge that they do on TikTok, like about like 10 days later, they are like, it's like one of those sounds where it's like, who's the homebody? Who's the flirt? Like, you know, that. And when it comes to like something about who's the homebody of the relationship, Joe and Sophie both agree in this TikTok video that it's Sophie, that like she's the one who stays home. She's the one that wants to be, you know, kind of like settled down. He's the one that wants to go outside. And I'm starting here because it's been pointed out now by many people that this sorts of contradicts the sort of narrative that Joe begins to set up in this divorce. This is a few years before the divorce. And just as somebody who has written many blogs about Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas, because it is something people click on, I have always maintained that, like, you know, they live in like a very sort of like new wife guy niche of celebrity couples where it's like, he adores her, like she's his everything, you know, like she's like settled down and like they're like a big happy family. And then of course you get the Nick and Priyanka stuff alongside this, right? So then it's like the Jonas brothers and their famous wives, you know, it's like this sort of,
they let them be them, like very that energy.
There's like this cash amongst their fans and celebrity, you know, celebrity gossips and like people who like to consume that sort of thing. You know, it's like a wholesome relationship. Like I would say actually that what Dax Shepard and Kristen Bell are to older millennials and Gen X parents,
like what they're trying to be,
is what Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas are to like firmly millennial women specifically.
I
like
absolutely see what
that
you're
is like kind of like where they are.
That.
And obviously they're like so much newer into their relationship than Dax and Kristen, which is why I say like they're in like the beginning formations of that sort of like family unit press, which is what they do a lot, right? When they get papped, they're papped together. They're on red carpets together. They get seen out and about with the strollers or the nannies, but it's like the unit of Sophie and Joe. So
I do feel like with the Jonas Brothers specifically, they also do that unique brand of like we're going to be getting into like the Chastity innocence, and then the people they're with are similar, where they're like respectable actresses and like you know, activists like involved in the community. It's very that vibe, even though it's not really.
Actually sort of works in his favor too, because something that I don't have a lot of notes on, but we both watched Game of Thrones, so like it's just sort of permeated in
I didn't
conscious.
Watch Game of Thrones.
That's so weird to me.
We've
you
talked
didn't even
about
read
this
the books,
before.
huh? I know
I've watched maybe like 6 hours recapping like everything that happens in it, and also living just in culture during it happening. So I've kind of watched it.
As somebody who read the books before they were ever
you can
adapted.
say that because most people didn't actually. So you really can. It's like it's Harry Potter, honey.
Who read all of Wheel of Time
like
in
multiple times,
middle school and high school. Like I was that girl, right? Like I'm on my like 3rd reread of Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, like the 2 Green Angel Tower books. So anyways, I will say that like the other thing that really works in their favor and then ultimately works against Joe is that Sophie is Sansa Stark, who is one of the more memorable characters. And I think in hindsight, one of the more loved characters on Game of Thrones.
Okay, for someone who doesn't know, like, what is your kind of character? Like, what exactly?
People did not like Sansa in the beginning. And Sansa in the books had a reputation amongst fans for being like an underground favorite, right? Like gay fans and women of the show would be like, Sansa and Caitlyn are like great characters, right?
Like
and
underdog,
then, yeah. And then you would have the like more like bro-y like fantasy fan kind of people,
of course,
who were like, oh, Sansa's so boring. All she does is like all her scenes are in a fucking castle, and it's like, bleh. You know, it's like that sort of thing where
I see
like
it already.
men were not motivated by Sansa the way that they were maybe motivated by like Cersei Lannister, who's like a badass and a murderer.
Yeah, she's the
and
baddie.
like, you know, and also she's like fucking her brother, so there's that angle to it. It's like Sansa kind of existed in this, like, in the book specifically, this like kind of characterization where you really had to get what Jordan was doing with her character to appreciate it, right? Like she has a lot of dialogue about like being cast into this role of the like suffering princess, suffering royal, who like is by the nature of society subjugated for being a woman and, you know, being soft rather than like steel.
I see.
And how she doesn't like fit the game that is being played in the castles or, you know, in the nobility. So, and then of course, great family tragedy. The Stark family is either like murdered or traumatized or maimed or like has some great big destiny that leads them to like a tragic end, right? Like that's also kind of the family that she's in. So anyways,
it's all starting to come together.
In the show, Sansa became a fan favorite sort of like near the middle point, I think, when people started to like wisen up to the fact that she was like actually a cool character like Daenerys, right? And is on the show frequently put in like victim scenarios where she is the victim of something. She's the victim of sexual assault. She's the victim of violence and societal sexism. And, you know, she is shafted and abused and like rises above this to be this like hero near the end of the show. And so I think that like Sophie Turner has played a lot of different characters, but in a lot of people's eyes, she's always going to be Sansa Stark, right? Like you look at her and Sansa had like this very iconic red hair and was just such a like clearly distinct character like Daenerys, like Cersei on that show, where she just kind of like rose above it and has been, you know, I think really memorable for a lot of people. And so I think this was working against Joe too in the divorce as we go into it, because when someone plays a character like that, people will begin to project that character onto them, which we just talked about with Ariana Grande. Like,
especially with like how big Game of Thrones is. Like, I'm sure she has like a million Tumblr accounts that just post her gifts every day. And same with,
And during Game of Thrones too, like she was also frequently like amongst the fans, like people loved Sophie Turner because she was like funny and goofy and she seemed like really relatable to people, you know, like she was just like this fun girl that just like really liked the role she got to play. And there was all these like set photos with her and the cast liked her and everyone just like really seemed to like Sophie Turner. So I think when you are someone like the Jonas Brothers and you're going up against a sort of cultural figure like that, you're at a disadvantage. So let's now jump a few years now to 2023. TMZ reports that Joe and Sophie unload a Miami mansion that they bought during the pandemic for $15 million, selling it for a profit, actually. So they had been homesteading in Miami for the pandemic. They did not do the pandemic for the most part. More recently in LA, they actually moved out of LA, I believe in 2021. And they moved into this Florida mansion that's like, I mean, you look at these photos, Matt, in this TMZ article, like
horrible. It's so ugly.
It's ugly.
The inside's also like,
and the Moroso sofas. I was like,
I know. No, they also have that Roche Boubois mahjong table, which is like for ugly people. Like it's one of the ugliest.
And everything in it is just like not great. And it's like the rock facing and the like.
Did they do like an AD digest for this? I'm like so curious now. Sure. I'm gonna look it up.
But anyways, it's really gauche. Like it's really gauche
it's
looking.
Pretty hard.
It's
to watch.
bad. So it was also kind of a thing, I think, where people would kind of talk about like, oh, Sophie, are you ever going to move back to London? And then she moves to Florida, right? So she's not in LA, she's not in London, she's in Florida, where, you know, there's no industry in Florida for Sophie Turner, right? You're gonna have to travel to LA to be away from your kids,
and this ain't England.
No, you're gonna have to travel to London to be away from your kids. So like, no matter where you are in Florida, you're like traveling for work, which is why a lot of celebrities live where they work, because otherwise you're never home. Some people don't like never being home, you know, like some people actually do like being away from LA. But I digress. So,
by the way, they never did an Architecture Digest video, but they do have an article about the maximalism of Joe Jonas. And I was like,
yes, he has the worst style. So they purchased this home for $11 million a year ago. So they moved, I believe they moved to Florida in 2021, but they bought this house early 2022. They listed it for 16.995. So almost basically 17 mil. They eventually sell it for 15 because I think like around this time, the market starts to take a dip for people, right? Like
people
you're not
trying
getting
to sell right now.
Sure. You're not going to get 17 mil. You can get 15 mil for it. And to us poors, it's like, what is $2 million? But you know, when you're rich, you're going to haggle over anything. So the home is 10,400 square feet. And interestingly speaking, TMZ says this when they are talking about it. And this is really the first sign that maybe things are not all great in their marriage. Quote, unclear why Joe and Sophie made the decision to unload the place so quickly, but they've got 2 small kiddos. So maybe they've decided to go elsewhere and potentially continue to expand their fam. Joe's on a massive tour with his brothers, so there's gonna be plenty of cash on hand for future real estate investments.
Little did we know.
Okay, wait. What is your least favorite thing about this house? Please tell me.
I mean, the Roche Boubois mahjong like sofa. For anyone who's like on the TMZ article, it's those ones where it's just like everything is multicolor, like very maximalist, high texture. I think those are always ugly, especially since they're so expensive. I also do not like. Well, wait, what is that sofa again in the middle? It's more like the purple orange is so like.
It's bad.
I also hate this so much when people do the dining room and like the tiki floral like rainforest cafe aesthetic like that. I cannot stand with like the neon green like
the like neon
bamboo
green
chairs.
Yeah,
no, it's so tacky. It's tacky.
Very like it's very like casino colonialism. Like is the only way I would explain it.
Exactly. The anthropology as wallpaper. Yeah, no, I think those sofas, Matt, that are in the very first photo, the like orange and purple. I know those are like the ones the IG girls
Aren't
love.
those Moroso?
I think they are.
I hate that I know this. Your partner would know. We should ask him. Can you
I know
ask
too
him,
much
actually?
about rich people furniture.
Wait, is that a Roche Boubois? That's the Roche Boubois bed too. That bed
yes,
so
in the mahjong style.
That
I know.
bed is like 30 grand. It's like 30 grand.
At least to be delivered another 5 or 10. Like absolutely.
I know. Well, also Roche Boubois is huge in Miami. Like I think they have a huge store
terrible
there.
Brand. My partner hates them. I do love knowing when my partner has furniture though, because when we watch anything from Housewives to like, you know, selling OC or selling Sunset, literally he will clock an armchair so fast. He's like, that's a knockoff. That's $200. That's from Pottery Barn. Or, oh no, that actually is the $6,000 armchair they claim it to be.
Miami just looks so ugly to live in.
Also, I just hate that this house from a distance just looks like it's just another McMansion.
It's just another
rich people love to take a McMansion that was absolutely hideous for the last like 20 or 30 years, renovate it, put in new like Italian furniture and be like, no, it's better now. It's better not now. The same Tuscan revival it was 10 years ago.
French furniture in there, which is like not much better.
Yeah, true.
Actually, French design. Yeah, I mean, it's Italian design really pushes my limits sometimes, but French design.
At least they're going for something interesting. The French, it's like. Yikes.
Like less than a month later.
Okay, sorry. This chandelier they have. Looking at the bedroom in baby blue, which is like, and then their chandelier looks like it's like 6 feet tall on it, like 11-foot ceiling. It's really comfortable. It's so really weird. Yeah. Anyway, okay,
and that you just know that one of them has bumped their head into
and it just like rattles for like 15 minutes straight.
I can't. I mean,
so much
this
glass.
Must be not their furniture. Obviously, this is
this is all staging. Yeah,
but like the Roche Boubois bed next to the IKEA and desk and chair is like really sending me because I'm like, it's just like a weird like.
Well, because rich people really don't know. You can straight put IKEA next to like $100,000 sofa, and they'll be like, "Yeah, that makes sense." It's like the people who know are like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
So about less than even a month later, like 2 weeks later, TMZ then drops the news that Joe and Sophie are headed for divorce. So
not official, but they're headed for divorce.
Headed for, and this was really the TMZ breaks this story. There was, I think, a few blinds about it, like, you know, Trouble in Paradise style blinds, but there's always Trouble in Paradise style blinds. So I would always say to people, like, broken clocks are right twice a day. You know, if someone has been divorcing, it's kind of like fortune tellers. Sometimes I feel like, not to say that fortune tellers aren't real. I'm not going to start a war.
Well, we know there's some scammers in any industry, you could say.
We already lost someone for saying that I think that veterinarians
someone canceled their Patreon. Yeah.
Like, for saying veterinarians overcharge. So let me not say all fortune tellers are a scam. But it's kind of like that thing is if someone is telling you every day for 10 years that you're going to find the love of your life. And then you do eventually find the love of your life. Well, yeah, they were technically correct, right? Like technically speaking. So,
but they would have said it anyway.
Yeah. The blinds, it's like if the blinds are saying they're going to be divorcing for years and years and years, and then they eventually do divorce, it's like, well, it was only a matter of time at that point, right?
Exactly.
So Joe is actually the one that proceeds with the divorce. And it seems like not necessarily with Sophie's full compliance in the beginning. And I think if we read between the lines, it's pretty clear that this was not how necessarily Sophie would have probably handled this. But we start to learn a few little details, I think, that
that's where the narrative
picture
begins.
And really what I have pieced together is that like Sophie probably would have handled this divorce differently, but Joe got ahead of himself and is on tour, so he can't. How do I say this?
He's got to be quick.
It's like you almost have to be a little mercenary about it because, you know, you don't want to be the Jonas brothers don't want to be Tom Sandoval in The Most Extras.
I was about to say,
a massive scandal breaks in the middle of their like Reno casino lobby tour and nobody's buying tickets, you know? It's like they still need those Elvis impersonators to open for them every night. So they're like, I would imagine Joe was like, we need to make sure that I don't immediately come out of this looking like a horrible person, or that like it looks justified that I would do this out of the blue because
that's what I'm confused
we want
about.
me to be selling tickets still, right? Like if I am in the middle of this tour and I blow it up and nobody buys tickets to our tour, or like they cancel our shows,
it would be like scandal.
And we're living in a time, I think, where things are very volatile, right? Like if you are
you
not
saw with the Lizzo stuff, like one day of news can shift a lot.
Yeah, if you're not at like an Ariana Grande level of like capital and like small economical power, like world power, like you
moving with more capital than like half the countries in this world.
You can lose a lot thanks to a bad news cycle now. So,
that's what I was kind of confused about.
You're going to still be famous, but I just mean like capital wise.
I'm just wondering like what insisted for them to do this during the tour. Like, why was it bad enough, or was it necessary enough to do right now instead of waiting till just afterwards? Like,
I think he was trying to be. I think it's like you're trying to be mercenary about it. She's out of the house. You have the kids with you. He's in the position of power here, right?
Kids, yeah,
he has the kids. She's out of the house working.
He can be quote unquote busy as well.
Not only is she out of the house, she's out of the house working, and he's also working and has the kids, right? So like you could be really mercenary about it. But I also think that he played his hands wrong and he came off too strong. So let's get into this. So Joe is actually the one, for all intents and purposes, we're going to assume that that is true. It looks like it is. That moved forward with his side of the divorce before Sophie did. He starts contacting people in LA. He hits up, according to TMZ, in September 3rd, 2 high-powered LA area divorce lawyers. And again, also with these kinds of divorces where they both have a lot of money, even though they have an ironclad prenup, like I would say that it's imperative to jump first no matter who you are. And I'm not saying that he was right in how he did it. because it is also a game of attrition on terms of like who you land as your divorce attorney too, right?
Yeah.
Like it is like a tactical maneuver.
Oh, I mean, they would go to either
on
one of them if whoever goes first.
You're going to get the one that the other one didn't get, right? So like you want the divorce lawyer that's going to be like best for you. And that one might be also best for your partner.
Imagine.
I can't.
Also knowing these lawyers are making like hundreds of thousands.
So Joe that day gets papped, going ringless out and about. He also had been photographed without his ring at a show in New York City while making a coffee run. And people are like, what's going on? Like, why isn't he wearing his ring? And again, you know, when people are on tour, they're always like taking rings on and off. Like you can really never say like, oh, he's on stage without his ring. Sometimes that's tactical. Sometimes it's like, I don't want to lose my ring, right?
Yeah, but if they've been doing a lot of shows and now all of a sudden he doesn't have it.
Yes. So, quote, regardless of whether he rocks the ring or doesn't, our sources are firm on this much. Their marriage is circling the drain and it's on its way to family court in due time.
Ew.
On the surface, it seems there's no outward signs of trouble. Joe and Sophie have attended events together. However, in recent weeks, Joe has been seen not wearing his ring. They recently sold their LA mansion. They bought that place just a year ago, and it sold fairly quickly for a decent profit. And again, fans at the time of him being papped not wearing his ring in LA meant that, you know, maybe something's going on. And they were ultimately right. So that same day, he actually does proceed with hiring a divorce attorney, according to ET. And this is where we start playing sources games. So... Everybody, I'm not going to say what I have put together because of this. I'm going to let you try and figure this out for yourself, okay? This is a game of Clue. We're all going to play it together.
Yeah.
E.T., September 3rd, 2023. Joe Jonas hires divorce lawyer amid 4-year marriage to Sophie Turner report. Now, listen to this. A source tells E.T. the pair have been spending time apart in recent months. Sophie and Joe have been spending more time apart recently, the source says. Joe has been busy on tour and spending a lot of time with his family. Joe has also been caring for their kids a lot. A rep for Turner had no comment.
It's almost like Pem does. Like if this went first, then this happened, and then we solve the equation.
Okay.
That is very interesting.
Okay. I'm gonna like click on this link for me. Click on the ET story.
Yeah.
Okay. This is, I mean, listen, it's not sloppy, but if I was Joe's people, I would have been pissed about this. Okay. Because Control F with me.
Okay.
Rep REP.
Yep.
And put a space after the piece so that
the report doesn't come up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We have that sentence. A rep for Turner had no comment.
Yep. And then the next one. At the time, a rep for Turner told ET, Joe and Sophie are happy to announce the arrival of their baby girl. That must be. Yeah.
Where's reps for Joe? Where's Joe's reps? Oh,
exactly.
I know where Joe's reps are.
A source
Joe's rep
ET.
says to ET, Sophie and Joe have been spending more time apart recently. Joe has been busy on tour and spending a lot of time with his family. Joe has also been caring for their kids a lot.
No, it's literally telling us.
It's almost like we found the rep for Joe. It's almost like we found the rep for Joe. I would have been, if I was his publicist, I would have been
this is bad.
So mad at ET.
It should have been a rep for both Turner and Jonas. Have not returned for comment.
Did not return request for comment. Declined to speak on the record. Girl.
At least make it a little more tricky for us to find out. Like, that was so ridiculous.
No, Matt, when I stumbled on this, I was like,
it's over.
And again, it could just be like a pure fluke on ET's part, right? Like maybe they just didn't ask Joe's people. They're like, oh, here's what sources are saying about Joe. Let's ask Sophie for comment. But then also, as your editor, my first thing is, why did you also not ask Joe for comment too, right? And my own editors would be yelling at me for not asking for comments from both of them. If I didn't already
I can't.
have a comment from both of them.
Like, it's so quickly we can determine what's about to go down over the next week. And then what we see is exactly this.
The game is like playing your card that brazenly
That
in
early,
the opening
day
shots
one.
of your divorce is bold.
See,
That
when you're
is
working, when you're on tour, you can't think of these things. Your team doesn't have time.
That is a bold move. And ultimately it backfires for Joe because, so we get this next TMZ story. I'm going to be moving between TMZ, People, and ET and Page 6 for the rest of this. A lot of this is coming officially from TMZ breaking stuff, but then we also have sources speaking to the other people as well. So like, we're going to kind of be source hopping, but I like doing that like we did with Ariana because we get to really see like whose people are talking where.
Well, yeah, it honestly is like paints the full narrative. You need
100%. So TMZ says this. Joe Jonas seen wearing wedding ring despite looming divorce. This is the next day, the 4th. Joe Jonas has been shopping for divorce lawyers, as TMZ first reported, also contradicting, by the way, that Joe had hired a divorce attorney the day prior.
I was going to say.
As TMZ first reported, but he's not giving up the symbol of marriage as he was wearing his wedding ring Sunday night at his concert. The Joe and his bros performed at the Moody Center in Austin, and the gold band on his ring finger was impossible to miss. Men love to have it
now
both
it's
ways.
like,
Men
this
love
is
to
games.
have it. Men love
This
to have
is
it
mental
both
warfare.
ways. So next day, the 5th, TMZ then files this headline. Joe Jonas files for divorce, and they're speaking officially from Sophie Turner. So the ball finally drops, and the papers are made public. Well, public enough that if you know how to find them, you can get them. We get this. Joe is asking for joint custody of their 3 daughters, 3-year-old Willa and their 1-year-old. Sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ Joe and Sophie have a prenup, something Joe also addresses in his divorce docs obtained by TMZ. There's more in here as it pertains to their kids, including the fact that Joe wants a judge to establish a parenting plan between them and Sophie that allows for, quote, frequent and continuing contact with both parties. Another interesting tidbit in his petition, Joe confirms what we've known since this weekend, namely, here we go, that the 2 children have been residing with him of late. Here in the docs, though, he makes sure to note where. Miami, as well as other locations throughout the United States. That is very important to this story. Keep that in your minds. In other words, he's been taking them with him on the road as he's toured. Quote, the issue of child support is also addressed in Joe's docs. He says both parents can pay to support their children, and that they should be both required to do so. And with that, Joe wants a Florida court specifically where he's filing this to establish what's fair. He's claiming dominance in Florida. He's saying Florida is our primary place of residence. They are getting divorced in Florida. Quote, and to take health insurance for the kids into consideration in determining what is fair in terms of like their child support arrangements.
Yeah.
As for why Joe filed for divorce, a source with direct knowledge tells us this, quote,
with source with direct knowledge.
I wonder where they got these docs. Quote, she likes to party. He likes to stay at home. They have very different lifestyles.
That is like so loaded in like a like truly passive aggressive way.
Also, again,
she likes to party. He likes to stay at home.
You guys,
they have very different
I am
lifestyles.
going to alienate everyone who listens to this podcast with my full 180-degree pivot to like anti-marriage.
Here we go. Every episode.
She's revving her engine up, ladies and gentlemen, and theys and gays. Okay. You can be a great mom. You can have a man who loves you. You can be the best wife. You can do everything. You can stay at home with those kids. You can take time away from your career to have kids. You can, go through postpartum. You can go through, struggling with childbirth. And you could give everything you have to your husband. And you are going to, get divorced. Not saying everyone will, but that man might one day leave you, and he is still going to throw you under the bus to the court and maybe even to the entire world. She likes to party. He likes to stay at home. Loaded, right? One,
Absolutely.
It's establishing why the kids are with him. Obviously, we get sources later on
and
that
it's like
contradict
he's
this.
not even at home right now. He's literally on tour. Like, is that not a party? Like, it makes me okay. Sorry,
so you're 100% right, Matt.
I'm just like, wait, you're not even home, sir. Who's home?
Yeah, who's home? No one's home. No, it establishes one, why the kids are with him. The kids have to be with him because mom is inconsistent. She's out partying. Also, not only is she working and her work takes her away from home. We are residing in Florida. She's out of the house, Also, when we're out of the house, they still come with me. I'm working and she's working, but the kids are with me, even though we're both working. Yeah,
it's giving like, even I have to work. I have to work.
She likes to party.
But I still make do.
It's also saying she is probably not the best person
I'm sorry,
raise these kids.
But saying she likes to party, and maybe this is taking a step further, but it's honestly almost leaning into like she's drinking and doing things. Like
100%.
The term she likes to party, like you don't say that in a way that is, oh my God.
They have very different lifestyles. Quote, this is the important part here, because this is where God help you, you're a famous person and your ex-husband starts talking to TMZ. Like, you are about to experience some of the most misogynistic bullshit that has ever been thrown your way in your entire fucking life. Because there's nothing TMZ loves more than making women look like bad moms. Quote, as we reported, Joe has been taking care of the children pretty much all of the time over the last 4 months. When it comes time to hash out a custody arrangement, he could ask for significantly more than 50% physical custody.
Oh, come on.
And our sources say that's likely.
Oh, that is so nasty. It's so nasty.
Disgusting.
It's so passive aggressive and like threatening. It's literally a threat.
No, this is where men love to use TMZ. And also women do too, like the Kardashians. They love to use TMZ as like a proxy to threaten people because they're like, you better not fight me about this because I could ask for more. Look, and it's...
And weaponizing the children as like a power move is like...
Not to make everything about
disgusting.
Scandal. No, you're so right. The power move there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
no, you're fine. You're fine.
Not to bring everything back to Scandal.
But like it always does.
But what did Tom Sandoval do for an entire season before cheating on Ariana Grande? Ariana Grande. What did he do that entire season while cheating on Ariana Grande?
Oh, like gaslighting Ariana the whole time into being
Miss
this
Maddox.
Like terrible girlfriend. Yeah,
she's a terrible girlfriend. Look, and then what does he do? He sets precedent, and he thought that was going to work. He thought that he could go around to everybody talking about what a bad girlfriend she is. She's inconsistent. She's depressed. She never leaves the house. She hates me. She talks down to me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that ultimately, when you're a fucking dickhead, everyone's like, oh, poor Tom Sandoval,
Well,
and
I mean, we heard,
work.
That she was acting erratic. She was partying. She's out.
But that's what I'm saying. We're like, look at this. He is using TMZ as a proxy here to threaten his wife. He's saying, like, we get here a little bit later in the episode, but like, we live in Florida. You're not from Florida, but the kids are staying in Florida. Even if you don't want to live in the United States, these kids are staying with me in Florida.
I just also mean? Like,
near
I don't know.
My family, near my life.
Right. I don't know enough about Florida law, but there's something that's like giving misogyny and like systematic. Like by choosing Florida as your divorce court, I can only imagine how much more like terribly silent it is compared to California.
So not to make everything negative and bad, but can you read this next headline that drops as soon as the custody news drops the same day?
Yeah. Homesick Sophie Turner. Oh my God, sorry, I've already taken it back. Homesick Sophie Turner once admitted she was trying to drag Joe Jonas back to the UK.
This is the same day that this other story drops.
Okay, more clue as to what's possibly driven a wedge between Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas are continuing to emerge. The Game of Thrones alum admitted last year that she was homesick and trying desperately to move her family to the United Kingdom. I miss England so much, she says. The people, the attitude, everything. I'm slowly dragging my husband back. Though she claimed she loved living in America, Turner attributed her wish to relocate to her, quote, mental health. I have to be around my friends and family. Oof.
I'm just staring at you.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's not great, is what it is.
It's
not great. What is happening here is really not great. Like, I read this and I was like,
because this happened a year ago and it's just dropped. They're just rehashing it.
Yeah, well, of
afterwards.
course, everyone is doing like fucking Doctor Who shit.
It's like more clues. I'm like,
yeah,
we're just so
and they're
back to the
Inspector
headlines.
Gadgeting. They're going back in time. They're in the TARDIS, bopping around, thinking that they're fucking, time travel warriors. They're like, let's go. I mean, they're doing what we're doing right now.
I was about to say like Loki.
But yeah, I can't believe I went to a place of Doctor Who with that metaphor.
I know, that's kind of
love and light. Like, can someone take me out back and fucking shoot me in the head? Like, okay, so thank you for reading that, Matt. Page
now it gets worse.
6 keeps going on the 5th. The 5th is a big day for the divorce. We have like 16 things dropping. People says, quote, Joe and Sophie have been living separate lives for months. Source.
Now, this is like 101 textbook.
Yeah.
Shit. I swear to God. How often do we read this exact line on this podcast? I think it's every other episode at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's a way to establish like irreconcilable differences.
Yeah.
Quote, they were separated, but they were not separated, but they've been living separate lives for months, says a source. The filing comes days after people reported Jonas, quote, had retained a divorce lawyer despite continuing to wear his wedding band. According to the source, Jonas and Turner, quote, haven't gotten along in a while, but they're hoping to resolve this all amicably. Quote, as far as the custody goes, this literally all just happened. So they're figuring it out in real time. They did have a prenup. As a family, they were based in Florida. The kids were with him the last few months, traveling with him and with his family while he's been on tour. Sophie's been working in the UK. So that's where the sinister element starts to play into all of this.
As a family, they were based in Florida is like,
and also
weirdly not even necessary to like this either.
He is like, she's out of the country. Let's do it now. Pull the fucking trigger.
It's
Piglet.
kind of insane when you think about too how all the literally just thinking of time zones, like there's like this rush of daily activity every hour on the blogs and on Twitter and social media, and she's literally gonna be working in like against him in opposite time zone, like
no, that's what I'm saying, like
do the work she needs to take care of this either.
People were like, oh, why now, but it's like she's working in the UK. He has the kids with him in the United States.
Yeah, he's holding all of the power.
I mean, if I was like a misogynistic divorce attorney and or misogynistic PR people or just a misogynist, I would be like, now's the perfect time to strike.
Yeah.
Literally
while she's unable.
Or the iron is out of the country, So in the divorce papers, it says that the couple's 2 daughters have been living with him. So Page 6 also says that day, quote, unhappy Joe Jonas tried to, quote, salvage Sophie Turner marriage, filed for divorce as, quote, last resort.
I'm not joking. This should be used in like English like seminars across the country as a way to like discuss layered language.
This is like
a hieroglyph.
This is, I will say also, like, what kind of 2-bit hack ass fucking publicists did you hire? Lawyer, maybe even. This is the lawyer now that you hired. Did you fucking hire that they aren't giving it a beat by even a day?
It's like been 24 hours.
They're like, all in one day, it's like, Sophie's a bitch. He tried to make it work, but she's unreasonable. She's not even in the country. He's taking care of like, pick one thing.
Like, how many cards can you play in this one round?
But they're like fucking like boop, boop, boop. Like,
I just hate the multiple quotes. Unhappy, salvage, last resort.
They're those DJs that you see at EDC where they're like, there's nothing, that their boards aren't even plugged in, but they're standing there just like frantically pushing buttons and like turning dials. Like, And just like the scripted audio is playing over the sound speakers. Like that's what's happening here. They're like, let's go through our like library of mixtapes. We've got
another
amicable
one.
divorce. We've got irreconcilable differences. Oh, we've got affair. Affair is a good one.
Yeah.
What about nice man hates his bitch wife? Let's put that in, right? And then they're just at the board like,
I love this song.
I love this song. They're like pushing little like sample packs. They're like unreasonable. Like that's just how it's crazy. I have covered so many divorces.
You can make it a soundboard.
It's almost boring at this point, and I have never seen somebody be this predictably textbook in the game that they run on their ex-wife. Like, okay,
last resort for divorce. Groundbreaking.
So, let's actually read the source. Quote, they haven't gotten along in a while, but they're hoping to resolve this amicably. As far as, I'm reading from the People one. So they say, quote, divorce was the last resort for Joe. Wait, actually, here, call me up on the phone. Yeah.
Joan?
Okay. Hi.
Yeah. What's going on?
This is Joe, Joe Jonas's PR people speaking.
Oh, yeah.
Let me know when you got your recorder running.
Yeah, it's on. Let's go.
Okay. Sound speeding. Divorce was a last resort for Joe. He never wanted to break up his family, but he had to take what he felt was the best course of action for those girls. An unhappy home is not a home. And the truth is that he and Sophie, they were going through it this year. There was a lot of noise out there, but it wasn't a straw that broke the camel's back situation like it's being reported. They just had many disagreements. It just kept building and building, and Joe finally reached a point where he just felt like he had exhausted all options to salvage the marriage. And scene.
Oh my God. It's like the most like poignant neutrality. Like neutrality that has a sharp edge.
I think, yeah.
An unhappy home isn't a home. Like, whose home? Knock, knock, bitch. Like, someone answer the fucking door.
Home. You sold your home. You're on tour.
I don't. Oh
my God.
The home they lived in for a year that was going through renovations.
A home.
Like, you're all like lying. Like, you're lying. I can't believe it.
Okay, so we're going to jump to the 6th now.
I'm sorry. Can I just say, by the way,
please?
What can we understand the math of? It wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back situation like it's being reported, and then immediately saying it just kept building, and Joe finally reached a point where he had exhausted all options. I'm like, what?
No,
it wasn't like I was on the edge, but like I was on the edge.
It's like, wait. Joe Jonas is like doing a Meredith Marks thing right now where he's like, the rumors and the nastiness. Security, she won't leave. I need you to get this girl to leave. It's like, oh my God. And I love it.
The lawyer's
like,
that poor waiter who's like, I can't kick her out of this restaurant.
And like, here we are. We're the Heather Gay in this situation. We're like, wait, so what are you mad at? And she's like, and talk about my bathtub is so low. First, you talk about my husband, then you talk about my bathtub. I mean, you might as well have brought my children into it. It's like that's literally
this is that we're in this place.
How that's where we feels. Are. No, I'm dead serious. It's crazy. I've literally never in my life, not once, ever seen something so fucking textbook. So let's stop here, take a quick break, and then we'll come back with some more TMZ. Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner break silence on Split. Our marriage is over. September 6th, 2023.
If only silence was broken. It's been pretty fucking loud the last few days before.
This is like the Salt Lake City chorus music.
Oh yeah.
Can you make that noise while I read this? After keep going. After 4 wonderful years of marriage, we have mutually decided to amicably end our marriage. There are many speculative narratives as to why we did, but truly this is a united decision, and we sincerely hope that everyone can respect our wishes for privacy for us and our children.
Oh my god, it made Ginger come up to me. She thought I was singing to her.
She's like, what's happening?
I'm activating the dog's attack mode. That was wretched. Like,
I love.
We love.
Like,
down girl.
So this is what's happening right now. So we get this statement from both of them on Instagram. It's like a joint statement. And it's interesting for many reasons, but a couple things stand out here. After 4 wonderful years of marriage, we have mutually decided to amicably end our marriage. This is a joint statement, and a lot of people were like, wait, I don't get it. Like, why would they now be coming out with a joint statement if there's all these sources talking? Like, there's no way it's not being in some way like dramatic behind the scenes or like what's going on, right? And you actually see this a lot with divorce specifically, in divorces where men are kind of fucking over the women in their lives. There is a common PR strategy of like salting the earth as you go. Not salting the earth, sorry, scorching the earth as you go. This is what I would describe as like what Tom Sandoval was doing while having an affair on Ariana Madix. Scorching the earth behind him, you know, making sure that like when she comes by to say her own things, you know, that she already looks crazy or that the other person looks unreasonable, you know, that like nothing they say is going to plant, that they can't plant anything there, you know, like the land's burned, it's unusable. It's like a tactic of war, and it works rather effectively a lot of the time. So what was happening prior to this statement? Probably, if I was to just make a very educated guess, you know, he was blitzing the press. He was like sending out a bunch of stuff. They were trying to like make sure they were like in charge of this narrative of the divorce and what was going to happen as a result of it. And also he was trying to get ahead of the courts and prime the courts to, you know, have precedent for like, this is the way that things are. This is the way that, you know, our relationship works. Mm-hmm. And really, like, it is a public sentiments game. They're on tour. They're trying to sell tickets. And, you know, she has a lot, I would say a lot less to lose than Joe in this, because, you know, we do live in a culture right now that is, I think, pretty volatile. And that's not a defense of the Jonas Brothers by any means. You'll learn why throughout the rest of this series. But it makes sense to me why that happened. However, what often happens is, we've seen this a few times with other high-profile celebrity divorces where, you know, we get the one side spinning wildly out of control and then the other side calling them up like, hey, we need to get this shit under control. We have kids to think about. We haven't even gone to court yet. You want me to make this an issue for you? I can make this an issue for you, right?
Lily, Kim, and Kanye, like, to a T.
Yeah, and then you release the joint statement of like, oh, we're fine, actually. Like, everything's on the same page. Like, you know, I would imagine that while this was all going down, she was making calls to him or people were making calls to people. Like, you are not going to do this to me. You better get on fucking Instagram if you know it's good for you. And you better post this fucking statement with me.
Get your shit together.
Because I'm not going to play this game with you.
Yeah.
You know? That's what I would do. And it's probably where the joint statement came out of. So I'm going to now play a little bit of stuff while I read this next TMZ article. Okay? Actually, not.
Let's get the real choir in.
Why don't you read it?
So wait, the TMZ?
TMZ, let's start that little mini sentence I have.
Yeah. Multiple sources have direct contact with Joe, tells TMZ. Joe had access to a ring cam that he said captured Sophie saying and or doing something that made him realize the marriage was over.
Thanks, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City music. I just love that fucking music.
It's so good, like the violin of it all.
Sophie Turner also, then we get this too, which this is like, they know what they're doing. We've got this narrative going on about how she loves to party. She's a party girl. She's out partying. And here comes E.T. with Joe's people probably being like, did you see that party that she went to?
I was going to say,
did you see her out pounding shots at a, by the way, rap party? A rap party for something.
She's supposed to be out there like crying.
What's she supposed to do? Okay. Sophie Turner was seen having some fun with co-stars days before her split with Joe Jonas. An eyewitness tells ET that the Game of Thrones actress, and this was an actual eyewitness, there's photos of this person who was at the bar. So it is like a real person that this is coming from. It's not like Joe's people planted someone at the bar. But she says, quote, no, I know. This is just like, but I'm saying this
We're
is
not
like
there yet.
This is a convenient narrative for them, right? This is a convenient happening because it's like, she likes to party. She lives a different life than me, et cetera, et cetera. And then here's a bunch of photos of her drinking. An eyewitness tells ET that the Game of Thrones actress had an enjoyable evening out while attending the wrap party of her upcoming series, Joan, at the Drop Shot Dig Bet in the UK over the weekend. The what?
Say that 5 times fast.
The Drop Shot Dig.
I don't know what that means.
Bet. Digbeth?
That sounds British to me.
The Drop Shot Digbeth. Okay. The Drop Shot Digbeth. Drop Shot Digbeth.
You can't keep saying it expecting it to suddenly make sense because it never will.
No. Digbeth. What is Digbeth? Digbeth? Digbeth is an area of central Birmingham, England. Following the construction of the inner ring road, Digbeth is now considered a district within Birmingham city centre. As part of the big city plan, Digbeth is undergoing a large industrial redevelopment scheme, which will regenerate the old industrial buildings into apartments, retail premises, offices and arts facilities. The district is now considered to be part of Birmingham's creative quarter. Okay, wait. How to pronounce Digbeth?
We're about to be dragged. I mean, I didn't say it.
Okay, wait. Okay. Are you ready?
British gags. Consult.
British gags. Let's go. Okay, let's see if this is gonna like. How do you think it's pronounced?
I'm trying to think in the British accent. Digbeth? No, I don't even know. I can't say.
Digbeth. Digbeth.
Why is it when you run Google pronounce, I feel like I suddenly have no idea what they're saying or what the word is?
Okay, how about this? Let's see if
we're not a place of YouTube how to pronounce videos.
Let's hear.
Digbeth.
Digbeth. It just sounds as weird as
Digbeth.
Digbeth.
So I was saying Dickbath.
Digbeth. So Drop Shot is the bar, and then it's the Digbeth location. I'm sorry, I can't stop saying it. It's a weird word. Okay, so wait, about us. Drop Shot Digbeth is a multi-use activity bar which features a full cocktail bar, an array of craft beers, 6 Olympic grade table. Oh no, this is my hell. This is my hell. The Drop Shot Digbeth is literally my personal hell on earth. I've never been less inclined to go anywhere in my life than a place with Olympic grade table tennis tables.
No. Oh no. I'm looking at images now.
2 shuffleboards, pool tables, wood fire pizza, and a sound system.
They got those gentrifier chairs, you know, the hard metal ones that like don't let anyone with a fat ass sit down. I know exactly the place.
Matt.
And it's all like industrial beam ceilings. Neon lighting.
Okay. This painting of like the painting. Oh my.
Oh no. Yeah, I'm seeing it now.
I'm in hell. Wait, did you ever? I'm not going to put our friend on blast like that. We have a friend that went to a ping pong bar recently that truly, when they were explaining it to me, I was like,
love and light.
Love and light. Love and light. And I remembered the ping pong bar that they went to. I'm not going to call it table tennis. I'm going to call it ping pong. I remember it because years prior, I was on a date in like.
Of course you were.
Here he goes. I was on a date in Soma. Fuck you. And
I thought you were going to say you were at a date at the table tennis.
No,
bar.
I was at a date in Soma and we were walking
just as
back.
bad, actually.
We were like walking from somewhere. I can't even tell you where. And I turned to my right and I saw that table tennis place. You know, the one by the exit to get like the last exit before you get on the highway.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bay Bridge. And I looked at it and I was like, I'd literally rather kill myself than go here. And like I said it as people were going inside. And one of the girls just turned to look at me and I was like, to this day, I hope that saved her. I hope that saved her from being taken to a ping pong bar on a Hinge date, you know? So
it's like if breweries could get more annoying. Like,
yeah. It's like, there's nothing worse than like
if a microbrewery could be even more loud and obnoxious.
Like microbrewery, gastropub, sports
game
bar,
night,
game culture. Also, ladies and gentlemen too, and ladies as well. Those of you who listen and date, if somebody is trying to take you to a barcade, they will
to be avoided,
destroy your life. Like you must avoid them at all costs. There's nothing worse
than a public service announcement
in this earth than being taken to a barcade. They are a nexus of evil. They are a breeding ground of chaos and confusion. They are a national summit against people who wear deodorant. You must leave. Like you must avoid it at all costs. So back to the drop shot dig Beth. Quote, Sophie came into Drop Shot on Saturday night for a wrap party for Joan. The party was around 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. and Sophie arrived a little after 9 p.m. Said Jessica Flatley, an employee at Drop Shot. Quote, Sophie and her coworkers were all lovely and definitely seemed to be having a good time. She was so friendly to all the staff, and here's where Joe was like, yes,
we win.
Did a Jaeger bomb shot with us. She seemed to be having a lovely time.
Not the Jaeger bomb shot.
Yeah. She also enjoyed a variety of games, including beer pong and a punch machine.
She can't stop partying at her like work rap party.
Yeah. So it just keeps getting worse. Joe Jonas said Sophie Turner.
We're only on the 6th, by the way.
Yeah,
we're only like
on
3 days into this.
Joe Jonas had Sophie Turner had his back no matter what 3 weeks before filing for divorce.
Please.
Turner, 27, was in attendance at the Joe Bros Yankee Stadium show to kick off their tour on August 12th. And Jonas, 34, gave a special shout out before singing the song Hesitate, which he wrote for her. If you're going through a tough time, they reach out to you. They've got your back no matter what. That person is here with me tonight, Sophie. So I'd love to hear you sing with me, if you don't mind. I want you to think of that person. If that person's here, you've got to hold them tight.
This is giving like
pathological
warfare. Yeah, like this feels like sowing the seeds of the lawsuit, of being served with divorce papers.
And then of course here comes Sophie's people. Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner so first off, we get Joe's people. Jonas takes the kiddos out to eat after filing for divorce. TMZ, same day, the 6th. We're still on the 6th. The singer was in dad mode on Wednesday at Sweet Butter Kitchen in LA with his little ones, 3-year-old Willa and 1-year-old sister, along with another friend who was helping to take care of the girls. Okay.
Well, he's only a father most of the time.
Okay. First we had so-and-so kisses gal pal friend in the park. You know, those kinds of headlines. Now we have someone who is obviously a nanny being relegated to friend who was helping take care of the kids.
I just can't. I'm sorry. Like, you're Joe Jonas. You can't just have like your friends help you out. No.
I'm sorry. I love the vibe of the woman who was clearly their nanny carrying their kids into this ice cream shop for a staged paparazzi shoot.
Right.
When the narrative is that he's like a just everything is like
He's
amazing, best
mode.
dad of the year award, you know, shit like that. And then it's like, yeah, I still can't raise my kids without women doing stuff for me.
Ooh.
I mean,
Ooh.
classic men, you know, they're like, I'm dad of the year and I pay 3 women to take care of my kids. It's like,
well, like no shade. Even like if you're going to be on tour, you do need to have someone take care of those children. You can't be a dad most of the time.
It's just funny that like TMZ is like, in a way, I don't think that they were like, this is his friend, you know, but like,
okay, but
it
this
certainly
copy
helps that it's friend rather than my nanny went
this
with me
copy
to get ice
though
cream. Please read
Joe kept a happy face for the kiddos, making them smile and trading high fives as everyone ate and chatted. In other words, this is where it's like, in other words, the 34-year-old certainly didn't look like he was in the middle of a divorce. I'm like, not keeping a happy face for the kiddos.
Okay.
Do you think he told them that they're getting divorced like right after that?
No, they probably don't even know. Okay, so
that's crazy to think about how that's actually probably true.
Yeah. Here comes Sophie's people. Joe and Sophie trying to keep things positive as possible amid split. Source exclusive.
The first exclusive.
And this is one of the first people exclusives that we've got in this. People has had sources, but like this is like a pretty firm source for people. So let's hear it.
This is still in the 6th. My God.
People are trying to be negative towards both of them, but they are trying to keep things as positive as possible, knowing there's always a lot of tension in a divorce. They're 2 incredibly scrutinized people. This is very incredibly stressful for them, but everything between them has been very collaborative. It was something they've both wanted to do. Everything has been very collaborative. The sale of the house wasn't in advance of a divorce, specifically as some people do, but it makes it easier. Now, I'm going to compare and contrast. Matt, you stay on that, and I'm going to scroll back up to the break silence on split. Okay, can you read that first sentence for me again?
People are trying to be negative towards both of them, but they are trying to keep things as positive as possible, knowing there's always a lot of tension in a divorce.
Right back to that Instagram statement, quote, there are many speculative narratives as to why, but truly this is a united decision. Okay, keep going.
They're 2 incredibly scrutinized people. This is incredibly stressful for them, but everything between them has been very collaborative.
Yes. We sincerely hope that everyone can respect our wishes for privacy for us and our children. So like you can see that this was obviously written, maybe not by the exact same person, but I think that the narrative that this source is spinning is definitely Sophie's. Like, I don't think that
it feels a lot more neutral and like relatively kind compared to what we see on the other front, especially.
Crazy that like, you know, like you will have your husband acting just like mad to you in public, you know, dragging your name through the mud, trying to like get people to dislike you so they'll still go to his fucking concert tour. And you're out here still being like, this is amicable. We're still friends. Like everything's fine. Right. Because again, like when you do this and the story of your marriage becomes the horrible divorce that you had, when your kids go out into the world and experience the public perception of you as parents and the marriage that they were born into, then it is immediately filled with chaos and confusion and negativity that you then have to explain to them as they get older. And it's like, what use is it in trying to just completely destroy your partner's reputation if ultimately you are prioritizing your children? And it's just interesting how someone in this just seems to be prioritizing their children despite being accused of being a bad mother, not being around, being absentee, you know, wanting to move to London and like get away from their family home in Miami. You know, he's taking care of them. She's out partying. It's like, your kids are going to read this shit one day, you know? Like, what is your game here?
It's very short-sighted.
Like, it's almost like you don't like women, but let's keep going.
It does start to change,
I don't mean that in like a sexuality way. I mean like you're just a misogynist. I mean that in like misogyny ways. So we keep going here. This is now, we're moving on to the 7th. I love that they're like TMZ. Joe Jonas divorce sources.
Like we're in the crisis center.
Sophie to attend events as she struggled post-birth. Now I have a theory about this. I have a theory that like Sophie's people were, you know, trying to keep things positive. They're on a time delay too, right? So they're like a day ahead, but also publishing at like different times, reading things while the other team in this divorce is asleep, et cetera, et cetera. So they probably were sending out statements. You know, they got that post queued up for when everyone wakes up that morning in the United States specifically, goes to sleep, and then wakes up the next day and sees like that he is being photographed with the children at a time when you probably shouldn't be putting your kids in the public eye. You know, accusations that you're never home, accusations that you're a bad mom, accusations that there's this like mysterious ring camera footage that like is the reason why you're getting a divorce in the first place, you know, and you're like, wait a minute. So I think that this TMZ thing is not coming from Joe or people who are aligned with Joe. I think it is people, like they say here, very tricky language on TMZ's part to just add to the clickability of this story. But I think what's happening here is rather plain. So Sophie Turner was struggling after the birth of her second child, and Joe Jonas was, quote, less than supportive. So claims several sources who were around Joe after the birth. Our sources say after their youngest child, and this made me really sad, but also it's so fucking predictable. Like at this point, it is so fucking predictable. Several sources who were around Joe after birth said, quote, after their youngest child was born a year ago, July, Sophie didn't want to leave their home. She didn't want to be photographed or go to events. She didn't want to be photographed or go out. Doesn't sound like someone who's out partying. Also, nevertheless, she attended several events with Joe, but at one specific event, several people who were there said Sophie made it clear she was uncomfortable and didn't want to be there. Shortly after that event, there was another in which Joe attended, but Sophie didn't. Our sources say Joe complained Sophie was MIA and felt she needed to get out more. It was clear to people who were there and heard Joe there was a strain on their relationship. What's interesting, as we reported, over the last 6 months, it seems the tables had turned for Joe. He was complaining she was too into partying. Sources connected to Joe acknowledge, quote, challenges in the relationship, but say Joe was supportive of Sophie getting the London acting gig.
It's starting to get a little messy.
I like this, though, because this is how you do this. You're like, okay, you want to say I don't like to party? You want to say that I don't like to party? Well, how about all those times I had literally just given birth and I'm being pressured to go out and party with you when I have a newborn at home?
Like, I've already said it, but like, he's literally on a national tour for like, sorry, but like your childhood like boy band like reunion tour. Like, this is a very unnecessary tour, relatively speaking, to like the severity of your life and your mental health, let's say. So to be like, she's out here partying, she's so reckless, she's been seen drinking with people, but like you are literally every other night like doing this big ass fucking performance.
Cake by the Ocean royalty checks from DNCE aren't going to be what sells, you know, records these days. You know, they're not going to go platinum anytime soon with any new singles they put out. So, you know, needs to make money somehow.
Someone's got to pay for this Florida McMansion.
The fat Jewish doesn't have the cultural cachet that he did in 2019 when that song came out.
Can we celebrate that? That side of the internet is fading away.
Okay. So, just as a funny thing, Marianne Cotillard, I've
never said her name out loud, so I apologize to her.
I'm going to continue to not say her name out loud. Leaves a passionate comment. This is from ET. So,
why?
Apparently, ET had posted an article about this on Instagram, and under the comments on it, she just goes, no,
like 30 O's.
No. I just thought that was funny. So,
what is her relationship to them even?
Unclear.
Wow.
Okay. Now,
spread the tapestry of it all.
ET's here. ET's here. Duh. She has another source. Read this. He has another source.
A source tells E.T. that the sucker singer and Game of Thrones star had an agreement in place that left their kids in his care while she was working for the summer. Quote, Sophie was busy on set filming this summer, so Joe and Sophie figured this setup would be best for the kids. Sophie and Joe's children have been with Joe while he's been touring because he is surrounded by family and it's nice for kids to be around their aunts, uncles, and cousins.
She has family in London. She has family in England. Oh.
Also, like, she's not
I get it.
touring the country of England to do this work. She's in one place the whole time. If we want to talk about like stability.
Yeah.
It's very confusing to me.
But Matt, they're around his family. It's a better environment for them to be surrounded by his family. Then people who we've established is probably in Sophie's camp. Why Joe Jonas and Sophie's kids have been living with the singer amid divorce. Source. Same day, actually, published relatively quickly in conjunction with E.T. She has been shooting, which is why the kids have been with Joe. It's just been easier because she's been working for the kids to be with him because there's some more support at home and on the road with his family. It's something they both agreed was best.
I mean, that I do agree. I do believe
that makes sense
that's
to me.
what they chose to do.
But yeah, no, just like the language here of like, Sophie and Joe's children have been with Joe while he's been touring because he is surrounded by family and it's been nice for the kids to be around their aunts.
It's an agreement they made versus it started already a few days ago with like, while he's been touring, he's also taking care of the children while she's out 100%. Partying and being busy.
Now like, this is like...
Can't do it both ways.
We've jumped the shark. Can you read this headline for me?
Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner Elvis, who married them, shocked by divorce, thought union would last.
Now read this for me.
Jesse Guerin married Joe and Sophie in Sin City back in 2019, and in a rather animated conversation, he tells TMZ he's shocked, heartbroken, and distraught. Joe filed for divorce from Sophie after only 4 years of marriage. The Elvis impersonator says he first thought their divorce was a joke because it seemed to come out of nowhere. He says he thought they were going to last because Joe and Sophie dated for about 3 years before tying the knot. In other words, it wasn't one of those stereotypical spur-of-the-moment Vegas weddings.
Well, I'm glad we got the Elvis impersonator who married them to chime in on this. Thanks, TMZ. Really, really happy.
They were like, get the boots on the ground now from the Elvis impersonator in Vegas.
So, Joe Jonas breaks divorce, silence during concert. Don't believe everything you hear. Can you read this quote for me? Because it is
very, very yikey. Very yikes. Joe and his bros performed. So tired. I'm sorry. They keep doing that. Joe and his bros, the Joe bros. Like, can you like actually redact it? Okay. Joe and his bros performed in front of a packed audience at Dodger Stadium where he took the mic and said this. Quote, it's been a tough week. I just want to say, look, if you don't hear it from these lips, don't believe it. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your love and support. Me and my family love you guys.
Love and light, babe.
I love the like, I know you've been reading the press. I know they've been saying things, sources close, but that's not me, babe.
Thank you all so much for following my latest writing work and published work in TMZ, ET, and various other outlets where you found me. But, you know, unless I guess I'm saying it from here on out, you know, you don't have to listen to all the things that I've been saying in the press. I have the audio here.
If you don't hear it from these lips, don't believe it, okay? Thank you, everyone, for the love and support. Me and my family love you guys.
Oh my God, he's playing like such a victim act. He's like...
Himly like, oh, I really did that.
He's
just in case you didn't know if that come from these lips.
So Tom Sandoval coded. I do just have to say.
That's all I keep thinking. It's really giving that.
Okay.
At least he has some talent, like, compared.
Once again, we've got another headline for the ages. Jonas family was pulling for Joe and Sophie before divorce.
Okay, now why are they involved? Family was sitting at the edge of their seat.
Joe Jonas's family was pulling for the singer and his wife, Sophie Turner, prior to the couple's divorce, a source tells Page 6 exclusively. However, we're told that even his loved ones' support could not help Jonas and Turner resolve their marital issues.
The way they're like never gonna say what the marital issues ever are.
It wasn't working anymore. It happens, the family insider shares. Joe has to do what he has to do. And same goes for Soph.
Oh my God, not in a place of Soph. Absolutely not.
Only they know
good old
what's best for them and their family. The family loves her and the love she has for those girls. That's it.
I'm like you said, it's almost boring at this point. The way no one will ever say anything interesting. Like,
no, it's because he doesn't have anything, and that's ultimately
no, like something obviously happened in a way, but like,
yeah, but that's ultimately what is interesting about this, right? And that is what I think we are going to kind of get to the bottom of, because it's not Ariana Grande, it's not Tom Sandoval and Ariana Madix, it's not Justin Bieber. You know, there isn't something big and explosive, I think, hiding here. There isn't a true crime to solve. There isn't some big mystery to piece together. It is just now the world we live in. This is how the divorce gets played. This is the arena these celebrities have to operate in.
Literally for the
whether they
check.
Want to or not.
It's literally for the childcare. Like, it's just to get the right support when you go to court and make sure you get your side, like
100%
your piece that you want.
So page 6 once again comes in, and we're going to end here. Quote, Joe Jonas was touchy and sensitive about Sophie Turner months before divorce. So,
oh my God.
He was, a source says to people, sorry, not people, page 6, he was incredibly checked out and detached way back in April. Joe seemed very sensitive, almost touchy when asked about anything about his wife or family related. So I'm guessing things were on the rocks with them before that. Reps for the former couple didn't immediately return page 6's requests for comment. So we're going to end there, because really this is just a fifth of the story.
This is the tip of the iceberg.
We're going to do about 2 episodes on the Jonas Brothers origins. And then we are also going to do an episode about Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra Jonas's relationship. And then we're also probably going to do one about how Joe and Sophie got together. But I think that we've kind of ran that well dry, at least for now, until I really look at stuff. So I'm thinking I also really want to get into the family Christian background as well,
and
which will play a little bit, I think, into the origin story.
Yeah.
But we have current day stuff like their reality TV show that they all did, and the hanger-on Jonases, and the family business and stuff. So I think there's a lot here. I think we all have a lot to be excited about with Jonas Brothers.
What if it was that Botox he got is in the brain, and that's what changed everything?
Wait,
she was he was never the same after his.
Wait,
what the fuck was the name of that injectable, by the way? It had the most crazy name we couldn't stop talking about.
Oh my God.
We have a whole episode named after that moment.
Remember how Frankie Jonas was in that video with the Scientology chain in that TikTok video in 2021? Remember that? I'm just looking at the
Scientology of it all.
Wait, I'm looking at Jonas Brothers right now. I was looking for that thing that he got. Joe Jonas gets candid about using injectables in new campaign.
It was literally so iconic.
We can be open and honest. We're all getting older, and part of that is being comfortable in our skin. I don't think it's necessarily something we have to shy away from. We can be open and honest about it, and we can be confident and not really shy away from speaking our truth. I personally care a lot about what I put in my body, and with an aesthetic treatment like Xiao Men, I wanted to be mindful of what was in it. I liked that it relieved the area a little bit, and I was like, okay, this is great, without it being too much for my liking. I appreciated that it wasn't over the top. It was very light. For Jonas, being open about something like skincare and hair care hasn't always come easy. Quote, there were all these talks at one point oh, men can't do this, or it's weird for guys to do that. And I think there's a stigma that's fading, and I like that. Guys are more openly wearing makeup, and it's great to see. It's do whatever you want, It's a beautiful generation that we're living in. There was this weird Kids' Choice Awards where I think we really wanted to be taken seriously. We were obviously still kids at around 18. And I remember we looked just like we got off a Ralph Lauren campaign or playing polo, or we were trying to get onto the field to play polo, proper polo. It's not his favorite look he's ever worn, but he admits that he, quote, makes for a great story. He also says, there are a few archive pieces that I kept that are really special. And later says, I feel like at some point when using Botox, quote, you make that decision for yourself. The things that you want to do, the things that you want to wear, even to the hair products you put in your hair. You get to an age where you go, okay, I don't feel those pressures anymore. I think if you had asked me 10 years ago, I would have definitely felt that pressure more. Also, what does he say where he's like, I like going to bed and looking like myself. Like he's like, I like looking in the mirror and honestly, seeing myself.
The way that article was truly a premonition, a precog moment, because that's exactly how this entire divorce is going. Like, it's so vague. I don't know exactly what we're even talking about half the time. I know it's all about like secrets revealed, but like, what are the secrets? Also, what's the truth? What is the vulnerability? What's your identity?
Matt, I forgot. Look at your fucking phone right now, or your text messages. Look at remember the photo of him in that article was like, it was like Westworld. Like it was, it was truly like Dolores. Like this is one of Dolores's like alternate personalities.
Stop.
Like just like the true
his eyebrows are like snatched in a way, even though they're so thick, and then his like whole face shape is like AI. Like
scary. Like he looks
kind of giving AI generation.
Oh no, he's full AI.
Like the mirror is like showing something we're not supposed to see.
I wrote these notes yesterday. Okay, yeah. So the last thing that has happened is, just to really end ourselves here, Sophie and Taylor stepped out for girls' night in New York City just recently, and a very hot outfit for Sophie, if I do say so myself. And really, I just have to say, going out with Taylor amid a breakup has not worked out for anyone. Let me just say that.
Don't you love how Taylor was trying to like get the girl, like the baddie girls together to be like her posse, and it like literally nothing happened from that. Like she's still kind of just by herself most of the time.
Her slay squad. It
was like her fempire.
They were really keeping an eye out for Selena in that squad. No, but I think it's funny that like, I mean, this is gonna work in keeping Sophie where she needs to be visibly.
Unfortunately, like, her getting on Taylor's side will temporarily get the stand-up more like in equal ground.
Yeah, but I also think that like Taylor is
like Joe, you can't compete.
Taylor is like a living hex. Like I do think that she is like a portent of disaster.
Oh, it'll work for now, but the deal with the devil, you're gonna be sowing.
Eventually the monkey's paw will curl, right?
Oh no, she's sowing now, she'll be reaping soon. Like,
yeah. Me when I'm sewing versus me when I'm reaping.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm so happy we're doing this. Thank you for going on this ride with me today.
Oh my God, no, what a ride it has been. But like, I can't get over. This is also giving me Selena Gomez triggering, where I'm like, we're talking about mental health, we're talking about family, we're talking about emotions, and yet like, what are those emotions? What's that mental health journey? Like, what is like actually happening? Like, what? I don't understand.
Lisa Rinna voice. But when are we going to be honest? Is the mental health in the room with us right now? Is the trauma in the room with us right now?
It's like one of those TikToks where someone speaks for like 15 minutes straight and you have to watch part 2 to actually get to what they're talking about.
And then they
like,
still don't the PR actually team say anything.
And then they don't. We're like, wait, what are we even talking about? Like, I need the PR team to like drop an actual bomb. Like, drop the Ring footage. Amazon has it. As we've done in our research, Amazon has rights to all that Ring camera footage. Yeah. So it's only days before someone gets into those AWS servers. Pulls the footage.
I also realized
what could it even possibly be? Sorry, I'm just like that Ring camera footage part.
She was calling him short and ugly. I bet. Like I would too.
Her on the phone, like, short, sex ugly, is mid. He's short, annoying,
ugly, and he does too much Botox. Like,
it's her on the phone actually saying, "Ever since the Botox, like ever since that neurotoxin that
I know we're not supposed to say it, but like Taylor, the Botox is like really bad. Like he overdid it. Also, we didn't talk about it. What did you guys think of our new theme song?
Oh my God, I forgot that was going to be dropped at this point.
I know, it's dropped in.
So iconic.
It's so good.
Iconic.
I want to give a shout out to the artist behind it, which is Sam Huntington of Crooks and Nannies. They just came out with a new album. We are friends and a fantastic Philly-based band. If you guys are in Philly, they are having a show next week. So please come out and support. Sam is like a fucking living legend and like one of the best music producers I've ever met, and just such a genius when it comes to songwriting and music and everything. The inspiration for it was actually, there was a music playlist I was listening to on YouTube. And one of the songs was from like the FIFA Street soundtrack from like 2001 or something.
Why did
And
the
it was
early
like,
2000s like PlayStation games have like the most absolutely iconic
like
rhythms
just
and beats?
cuntiest like music you've ever
literally
heard in your life.
cunty, stunty, chic as hell, Y2K realness.
So good. I can actually play a little bit of it here. But anyways, while I look for that, I just was like listening to it and I was like, this is sick as fuck. And we were
Like,
looking at kind of resurrecting our theme song and like really like kind of branching out into like a real new era. A lot of our stuff
giving
in the past,
podcast.
Yeah.
Like this audio is giving podcast.
It's not that it's been cobbled together from like here and there, but you know, it's really nice to have like
she's evolved.
Yeah, she's evolved. And it's nice to have a professional help us for once. So this is the FIFA Street 2 theme song that I heard that I was like, if we can kind of capture this vibe, this like video game early vibe.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I want wavy,
I'm already bopping.
cunty, stunty fun.
Yeah.
And she captured it perfectly. So I'm so happy. I'm so happy. It's like truly a dream to have such a good theme song. And the second I heard it, I was like, we're never changing this. This is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. And again, as always, I did it without telling you.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, you told me before this episode, of
yeah.
course. Yeah.
No, but I mean, I told you I was going to look for
I was
a new
seeing
theme
the
song.
drafts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like I had told you, I'm going to like kind of shop around, talk to people.
I always trust you.
And then I just kind of one day texted you out of the blue, like, what do you think of this shit? And you were like, ah. So yeah. Shout out Sam. Shout out Crooks and Nannies. Everyone go see the Crooks and Nannies show in Philly. At Johnny Brenda's.
Support the girls.
I can put a link in the bio for
link
that.
In bio.
So link in bio, # link in bio. And then also make sure you follow us on Instagram and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. That always helps. We love that. And we are so excited for everyone to keep listening to this series. And just to be clear, that show is September 30th on Saturday. Tickets are on sale for $15. Link in bio. Okay, that's all I've got. You got anything?
We're serving eating for free, and I love that for ourselves.
We're serving eating for free, and I love that for ourselves.
By the way, as always, on our Patreon, bonus episodes every week. If you want to hear us talk about, like I just referenced, Salt Lake City or Housewives of New York, and my God, isn't Beverly Hills? No, Potomac's coming back in like a few weeks. So we're always talking about that there.
Coming back in a few weeks?
Yeah, it's coming back in maybe November.
Did the trailer come out?
No.
Oh,
but it's coming.
Okay.
But it's confirmed. Like they've been tweeting and stuff. But yeah, if you want to hear our recaps and whatever, what have you, and just bonus content in general, patreon.com/eating for free. And with that,
goodbye.
And with that, love.
3,
2,
1. Good.
Bye.
You've been listening to Eating for Free, a podcast created, co-hosted, written, researched, and produced by myself, Joan Summers, and Matthew Lawson, with original theme music by Sam Huntington of Crooks and Nannies. If you liked what you heard today, you can go to patreon.com/eatingforfree to get access to weekly bonus episodes, as well as access to my other podcast, Beautiful Women Updates, hosted by myself and Alex V. Green. You can also go to eatingforfree.com to get access to the links to our research from today's episode, as well as merch and so much more.